If you're in midlife and the scale suddenly stops moving, I want you to hear this first. This may not be your fault, and it might not even be a real plateau. I see this all the time with women on GLP-1 medications, women who are post-bariatric, and women in perimenopause or menopause. Things are going well, the scale is trending down, and then suddenly nothing. Or worse, it ticks up a pound or two, and panic sets in. Thoughts like, is this medication no longer working? Did I break my metabolism? Do I need to eat less? Do I need to increase my dose? Before you do any of that, we need to slow down and look at what's actually happening, because midlife plateaus are rarely just about calories. So here's what a plateau actually is. Let's start by defining terms, because this is where most people spiral. A true weight loss plateau is not one bad week. It is not 2 weeks of scale noise. It is not a salty meal, poor sleep, or a stressful cycle phase. In my practice, a true plateau means no meaningful change for about 3 weeks or more, and that includes more than just a scale. We look at 3 things: scale trends, not just daily numbers, body measurements or how clothes fit, strength, energy, or functional changes. If the scale has stalled but your waist is shrinking, your strength is improving, or your energy is better, that is not a plateau. That is a body recomposition or recovery. This matters even more if you're post-bariatric, where fluid shift, glycogen storage, and bowel patterns can create big scale swings that have nothing to do with fat loss. And this is why plateaus happen in midlife. Here is the real talk part. Plateaus on GLP-1s in midlife are not just about calories. They're about sleep, stress, constipation, muscle protection, underfueling, hormone shifts, and how your nervous system responds when the medication stops feeling magical. So one of the most common drivers is underfueling and the protein gap. GLP-1 medications suppress appetite. That is part of how they work. But appetite suppression is not the same thing as adequate nutrition. Many women, especially those with a long-term dieting history or post-bariatric surgery, end up unintentionally undereating. They feel proud of how little they want to eat, but over time, the body adapts. Low protein intake is one of the biggest plateau drivers I see. Protein also protects muscle, supports metabolism, and it stabilizes blood sugar. And in perimenopause and menopause, muscle loss accelerates if protein intake is too low. If muscle is being lost, the scale may stall even though fat loss is still happening, or it may stop altogether because the body shifts into conservation mode. NEAT. Another thing is that NEAT drops due to fatigue. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. It is the movement that you do without thinking, such as walking, fidgeting, chores, daily life. When women are underfueled, underslept, or dealing with hormonal changes, NEAT drops quietly. But it doesn't mean that you're lazy. Your body is just conserving energy. This is incredibly common on GLP-1s and after bariatric surgery, especially in midlife women when recovery capacity is lower. If daily movement drops, total energy expenditure drops too, even if workouts stay the same. Another reason is constipation and water retention. This one is huge and wildly underestimated. GLP-1 medications slow gastric emptying. Post-bariatric anatomy changes digestion. Perimenopause alters gut motility. Constipation alone can stall the scale for days or weeks. That does not mean fat loss stopped. It means waist is not moving efficiently. Add in sodium, inflammation, or hormonal fluid shifts, and the scale becomes very unreliable. Not every plateau is fat loss. Some plateaus are constipation and water. Sleep, stress, and cortisol can also be a contributor to a plateau. If you are waking up at 3 a.m. dealing with night sweats, anxiety, or poor sleep, your nervous system is under stress. Cortisol does not prevent weight loss entirely, but it does change how the body partitions energy. Poor sleep increases cravings, lowers recovery, reduces NEAT, and worsens insulin sensitivity. This is especially relevant in perimenopause and menopause, where sleep disruption is common, even when everything else feels right. Muscle loss and insufficient resistance training is another reason. Midlife weight loss without muscle protection is a problem. GLP-1s reduce appetite. Post-bariatric patients absorb nutrients differently. Estrogen decline accelerates muscle loss. If resistance training is missing or inconsistent, muscle loss can occur quietly. When muscle goes down, metabolism follows. This is more about giving the body a reason to hold on to lean tissue. What not to do when the scale stalls. This is very important. Do not immediately slash calories. Do not assume that medication stopped working. Do not increase your dose without understanding what's happening. Do not panic track or punish yourself. That reaction often makes things worse. Instead, take the first step, which is information, not restriction. Short-term tracking can be useful here, not as a punishment, but as data collection. Tracking is a tool, not a moral test, remember that. We use it briefly, then we graduate you. We look at protein intake, fiber, hydration, sleep patterns, stress load, movement patterns, digestion, cycle, or hormone-related changes. For post-bariatric clients, we also assess tolerance, absorption, and meal structure. This is how you determine whether you are actually plateaued or just in a temporary stabilization phase. Why? And so here's why this matters long term. Here's the bigger picture. Most people will experience plateaus at some point, but this just means adaptation. Learning how to respond calmly instead of reactively is what determines long-term success, especially if you plan to stay on medication long-term or eventually transition off. Your plan must work on low appetite days and high appetite days. It must protect muscle, it must support hormones, and it must be sustainable for real life. If you are watching this and thinking, I do not know if this is a real plateau or just my body adjusting, I created a simple plateau reality check to help you figure that out without spiraling. You can download it for free below. It walks you through how to tell the difference between a true plateau and normal midlife fluctuations and what your next step should be. And if you need deeper support, that is exactly what I help women do inside the Real Talk Reset and the Real Talk Continuum. And remember, you're not broken, your body is just adapting. And with the right support, you can move forward without fear. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.